I'm 28. I work in IT. I've got my own place, a good job, and a life that is blessedly, wonderfully drama-free. My younger sister, Sarah, is the opposite. She doesn't live in drama. She creates it. She breathes it. She exports it. And her best friend, Jessica, is her number one partner in crime. Jessica is one of those people who always seems to be in the middle of a crisis, usually of her own making. She'd been a permanent fixture in our family life for years, kind of like a piece of furniture you don't really like, but can't get rid of. I always kept my distance. I had a weird vibe about her, like she was always calculating, always looking for an angle. My gut is rarely wrong about people. The story really kicks off after my cousin's birthday party. I was the designated driver, which meant I was stone cold sober. I dropped off a carload of people, including Sarah and Jessica, and was back in my own bed by midnight. I remember it clearly because I had an early work call the next day. I barely even spoke to Jessica all night, other than a hey when she got in the car. Fast forward 2 months. It's a Tuesday night. I'm on my couch, binge watching some show, when there's a knock on the door. It's Sarah, and right behind her, looking all teary-eyed and pathetic, is Jessica. My internal alarm bells didn't just ring, they blared like a full-on air raid siren. Hey, I said, not moving from the doorway. What's up? Sarah pushes past me into my apartment. Mark, we need to talk. It's serious. Jessica shuffles in behind her, clutching her stomach like she's in a bad soap opera. I'm already annoyed. My drama-free sanctuary has been breached. I close the door and cross my arms. Okay, talk. Jessica takes a deep, shaky breath, and then she drops the bomb. Mark, I'm pregnant. I just stared at her. I mean, what was I supposed to say? Congratulations? Sorry to hear that. I went with a neutral, okay. Then Sarah steps forward, putting a protective arm around Jessica. She's pregnant, Mark. And it's yours. I actually laughed. Not a little chuckle, but a full, loud, disbelieving laugh. I couldn't help it. The sheer absurdity of it was just, wow. Mine? Are you serious? That's impossible. Jessica's face crumpled. How can you say that? After what we shared. Shared? What did we share, Jessica? A 10-minute car ride where you sat in the back seat and I didn't even see your face? We've never been alone together in our entire lives. This is insane. Sarah jumped in, her voice getting shrill. Don't you dare try to deny it. It was at the party. Jessica said you were both drinking, and one thing led to another. My blood started to simmer. I wasn't drinking, Sarah. I was the DD. I remember every single second of that night, and what you're describing did not happen. It's a lie. A complete and utter fantasy. It's not a lie. Jessica wailed, tears now streaming down her face. You're just trying to get out of your responsibilities. Okay, I've had enough. I took a deep breath, trying to be the calm, rational adult here. Look, this is obviously a huge misunderstanding. There is a 0% chance that baby is mine. But, just to clear this up and put it to bed, I will make you a deal. I will pay for a DNA test the second that baby is born. If, by some miracle of science, it is mine, I will take full financial responsibility. But until then, this conversation is over. I thought that was pretty reasonable, right? A simple, scientific solution. Oh, how wrong I was. Jessica looked at me with pure horror in her eyes. A DNA test? You want to subject my unborn child to that kind of stress? What kind of monster are you? The stress could harm the baby. I was speechless. That has to be the dumbest, most medically inaccurate thing I have ever heard. Stress the baby? It's a cheek swab. My sister, of course, nodded along like Jessica had just quoted scripture. See? He doesn't care about the baby. Sarah shrieked. He just wants to get out of it. This is ridiculous. I said, my patience completely gone. I'm offering you the only logical solution. You're refusing. That tells me everything I need to know. I think you both need to leave. They left, but not before Sarah called me a deadbeat and Jessica sobbed about how she was going to raise this baby all alone. The whole performance was a 10 out of 10. The door closed, and the silence in my apartment was deafening. I just stood there for a minute, my head spinning. This couldn't be happening. It was a shakedown. A pathetic, poorly planned shakedown. I figured that was the end of it. They tried. I called their bluff. They'd move on to some other scheme. Again. So wrong. A week later, I get a call from my mom. Her tone was off. Mark, honey, we need to talk. Your sister told us about the situation. My heart sank. Of course she did. She ran straight to the enablers-in-chief. I was summoned to my parents' house that weekend for a family meeting. When I walked in, It was like an ambush. My mom and dad were on the sofa, looking grim. And sitting right between them, holding a box of tissues, was Jessica. Sarah was pacing back and forth like a caged tiger. "Mark, sit down," my dad said, pointing to the armchair opposite them. It felt like I was at my own parole hearing. "There's nothing to talk about," I said, staying on my feet. I told them my position. "I'll take a DNA test." She refused. End of story. My mom sighed. That long-suffering sigh she uses when she thinks I'm being difficult. "Mark, can't you just help her out a little? For now?" The girl is pregnant and scared. A DNA test is so clinical. It's aggressive. I couldn't believe my ears. Aggressive? A lie that could ruin my life isn't aggressive, but asking for scientific proof is? Are you listening to yourselves? She is trying to extort money from me. "Don't use that word, Mark," my dad snapped. "She's your sister's best friend. We're just asking you to be a gentleman. Give her a few thousand for prenatal vitamins and doctor's visits." To show good faith. The room was tilting. My own parents were taking her side. They weren't even considering that I was telling the truth. It was easier for them to believe I was a liar and a deadbeat than to confront the fact that their precious daughter and her friend were con artists. "No," I said, my voice cold and hard. "Not one single penny without a DNA test. This is my final word on the matter. If you give her money, that's on you. But it's not coming from me, and you're just encouraging her." I walked out. The feeling of betrayal was like a physical weight in my chest. It wasn't just Jessica and Sarah anymore. It was my whole family against me. The next phase of their campaign was social media. Jessica started posting these vague, melodramatic statuses on Facebook. Things like, "It's so hard knowing my baby will never know its father's love," complete with a crying emoji and a picture of her barely there bump. And who was the first person to share it? My sister, Sarah. She'd add her own commentary, like, "Some people just don't know how to be a man. So proud of my bestie for being so strong." My phone started blowing up. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends I hadn't spoken to in years. "Mark, is everything okay? Mark, I saw Jessica's post. You need to step up." I was being tried and convicted in the court of public opinion, based on a complete fabrication. My blood was boiling. I felt so helpless. Every time I tried to explain the situation, people would look at me with pity, like I was just making excuses. The narrative was set. I was the bad guy. Then came the Venmo requests. Seriously, they started popping up on my phone. $300 for organic, gluten-free pregnancy cravings. $800 for a maternity photo shoot. $150 for a new pregnancy pillow. I declined every single one, but the audacity was breathtaking. The breaking point, the moment where my anger turned from a hot, messy fire into a cold, sharp icicle, came about a month after that disastrous family meeting. I went over to my parents' house to pick up some old mail. My dad pulled me aside. He looked uncomfortable. "Mark," he said, not meeting my eye. "Your mother and I, we gave Jessica some money." I just stared at him. "You what?" "Just a little bit," he mumbled. "To help with the rent. She was going to be evicted. We couldn't let our grandchild be homeless." "It's not your grandchild," I yelled, losing my cool for the first time. "How can you be so stupid? You're financing this lie. You're rewarding her for trying to ruin my life." "Lower your voice," my mom said, coming out of the kitchen. "We did what we thought was right. We're trying to keep the peace." "Keep the peace?" I said, laughing that bitter laugh again. "There is no peace. There is you guys funding a scam artist and throwing your own son under the bus. I'm done. I am so done." That was it. A switch flipped in my head. I wasn't just going to defend myself anymore. I was going on the offense. They wanted to ruin my reputation? Fine. I was going to expose their entire pathetic scheme. But I needed proof. Hard, undeniable proof that didn't require a cheek swab from a baby that wasn't even born yet. I'm an IT guy. I'm logical. I know how to find information. My first thought was, if it's not me, then who is it? Jessica wasn't exactly known for being a nun. I started thinking back to the party. Who was she talking to? Who was she hanging around? And then it hit me. A vague memory of seeing her in a corner, talking with Sarah's fiancé, David. David was a nice enough guy, a bit of a pushover, but he seemed to make my sister happy. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. But now, the puzzle pieces started to connect. The way David was always so quiet and avoided eye contact whenever this situation was brought up. The way he never defended me, but never attacked me either. He was just neutral. Too neutral. It was a long shot, but it was all I had. I decided to do something I'd only ever seen in movies. I hired a private investigator. It cost a small fortune, but at this point, my sanity and my name were worth it. I gave him everything I had: Jessica's name, David's name, their social media profiles, and a simple instruction: find out if they're seeing each other. 2 weeks. That's all it took. The PI called me. "You're going to want to see this," he said. I met him in a coffee shop, and he slid a manila envelope across the table. My hands were shaking as I opened it. Inside were pictures, crystal clear pictures of Jessica and David, meeting in a park on the other side of town, kissing in his car. Him, with his hand on her pregnant belly. The final picture was a shot of them going into a cheap motel. The date stamp was from 3 days prior. I didn't feel anger at that moment. It was a strange, cold calm. The icicle in my chest was now a full-blown glacier. I had them. The PI also had a report. He'd done a little digging. Turns out, Jessica and David had a history, a brief fling a year ago before he even started dating my sister. It seems they'd rekindled things. The PI looked at me. "So, what are you going to do?" I smiled. A real, genuine smile for the first time in months. "Oh, I have a plan," I said. "And it's going to be spectacular." The opportunity presented itself a week later. An invitation arrived in my email. "You're invited to Jessica's baby shower. Hosted by, you guessed it, my loving sister Sarah and my dear mother." I RSVP'd, attending immediately. The day of the shower was perfect. Sunny warm. The party was in my parents' backyard. It was packed. All the family and friends who had been judging me, whispering about me, were there. When I walked in, the music seemed to quiet down for a second. I got a lot of cold shoulders and dirty looks. Sarah came up to me, her face a mask of disapproval. "I can't believe you showed up. Try not to ruin this for Jessica." "Wouldn't dream of it," I said with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. I bided my time. I ate some cake. I watched Jessica open presents, gushing over every little onesie and baby blanket. I watched David stand awkwardly behind Sarah, looking like a man on death row. My parents kept shooting me warning glances, silently begging me to behave. Finally, the moment came. My mom stood up to give a toast. After she was done, she made a fatal mistake. "Does anyone else want to say a few words for our dear Jessica?" she asked, beaming. The silence was deafening. No one moved. So I stood up. "I would," I said, my voice carrying across the yard. Every head turned towards me. I could see the panic in my parents' eyes. Sarah looked like she was about to tackle me. I calmly walked to the front, took the small portable microphone from my mom's hand, and turned to face the crowd. I started off nice and easy. "First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming to celebrate this very special occasion." I paused, letting the silence hang in the air. I know there have been a lot of rumors and a lot of talk about me and my responsibilities regarding this baby. I looked directly at Jessica. Her smile was gone, replaced by a nervous frown. "Jessica, for months, I have offered a simple solution to clear my name. A DNA test. And for months, you have refused. So, I just want to offer it one more time, in front of everyone. Let's agree to a test. And if it's mine, I will not only pay for everything, but I will publicly apologize right here, right now." She started to tear up. "I can't believe you're doing this to me," she whimpered. "You're ruining my special day." "I'm not the one ruining it," I said, my voice dropping a little. The crowd was hooked. Not a single person was looking away. You see, when someone refuses a simple test that could prove their claim, it usually means they're hiding something. So, I did a little digging of my own. I saw David's face go completely white. He knew what was coming. I found out who the real father is. I continued, letting every word land with maximum impact. I turned back to Jessica, whose face was now a mask of pure terror. "So, Jessica, I think it's time you tell everyone why the baby's real father is actually my sister's fiancé, David." That was it. The gasp. The sound of 50 people sucking in air at the exact same time. It was magnificent. The silence that followed was so complete you could hear a pin drop on the grass. Then, chaos erupted. Sarah just stared, her brain slowly processing what I had said. Her head turned, robotically, from me, to Jessica, to David. David looked like he was about to vomit. Jessica just started sobbing, a high-pitched, theatrical wail that had zero sadness and 100% "I'm caught" panic. "Is this true, David?" Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. David couldn't even speak. He just nodded, his eyes shut tight. That's when Sarah let out a scream. Not a sad scream, a scream of pure, undiluted rage. She lunged, not at David, but at Jessica. "You slept with my fiancé?" she shrieked, trying to claw at her. My dad had to physically restrain her. People were getting up, whispering furiously, pulling out their phones to record. My mom was just standing there, her hand over her mouth, looking back and forth between everyone, utterly broken. Amid the chaos, I placed the microphone gently on the gift table. My work here was done. I turned and walked out of the backyard, through the house, and out the front door. I didn't look back. The aftermath was exactly as messy as you'd imagine. The party obviously ended. Sarah broke off the engagement with David on the spot. She also, needless to say, ended her friendship with Jessica. My parents called me that night, screaming at me, not for being wrong, but for the way I handled it. They were mad that I had embarrassed the family. I let them yell for a while, and then I calmly said, "You embarrassed yourselves when you chose to believe a liar over your own son. You financed her, you enabled her, you defended her. This implosion is on you. Don't call me again until you're ready to apologize." And I hung up. It took them a month, but they did apologize. A real, tearful apology. Our relationship is still strained, but we're working on it. Sarah and I haven't really spoken. She sent me one text that just said, "I'm sorry. I was an idiot. I think it's going to take a long time for that wound to heal." As for Jessica, the last I heard, she had her baby boy. David is paying child support, but he's not involved in the kid's life. She lost everything: her best friend, her secret lover, and her financial support system from my parents. She moved back in with her own mom on the other side of the state. She's completely ostracized from our entire circle of family and friends. It was a rough few months, I'm not gonna lie. But standing there, in that backyard, and finally getting to speak my truth and watch the lies crumble, it was worth every single penny I paid that PI.